and welcome to the Effortless Being podcast. I'm your podcast host, Deandra, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. If you're new here, hello and welcome. On this podcast, we love to talk about mental health, lifestyle changes, skills, habits that we can learn to have a better sense of self, have better relationships, and overall improve our mental health. On this podcast, I also like to talk about spirituality and faith. I think those are very important aspects of our lives. And lastly, I consider myself to be a vulnerable person, and that's because I never want you to think that I am perfect. I know, especially because I'm teaching you something, you might have this misconception that I am perfect. So here and there, I'll let you know, like, I'm struggling with this too, or I've struggled with this in the past. So please expect vulnerability on my podcast. If you didn't already know, we already have over 180 episodes on the podcast, so not on YouTube. So on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Podcasts, I think we're on our iHeartRadio as well. I'm not sure. But yes, there's so many platforms this podcast is on, and you can listen to the over 180 episodes that we already have. There's over 90 in English and over 90 in Spanish, and I truly think there's an episode for everything. If you have not already subscribed, I invite you to do so now. That way you're notified with every episode that I post. And I would also love to know what you're thinking. I would love to know your thoughts, how you're feeling, if anything resonated with you. So please leave me a comment on YouTube so that I know what you're thinking. I would also love if you could leave us a rating on podcast or Spotify and let us know what you think. Give us the 5-star rating if that resonates with you, and let me know what you think about the podcast. Lastly, before we get started on the episode, this podcast is an educational podcast. I am not trying to form a therapeutic relationship with you through this podcast. I'm not giving you therapeutic advice. This is simply information. On today's episode, we're going to talk about self-esteem. We're going to talk about self-confidence. We'll talk about the importance of them. And I'm going to give you 2 ways to improve your self-esteem starting today. Self-esteem and confidence are 2 different things. So self-esteem drives our confidence. Self-esteem is internal. It's how I see myself, my self-image, what I believe about myself, and my self-worth, how valuable I believe I am. And so self-esteem, like I said, is an internal thing that drives our confidence, which is external. This is how we show up in the world. So if I am confident, then I'm going to be applying for the jobs. I'm going to be leaving the toxic relationship. If I'm confident, I'm going to advocate for myself, right? If I have a good sense of self, if I have high self-worth, high esteem, I'm going to be confident. They're very interrelated. And so if I have a low self-esteem, then that's going to show in my external world, right? I'm not going to be applying for the job. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to say hi to people when I want to make friends. I'm going to settle in life because it's all I think I deserve. So our self-esteem directly affects our confidence. And this is very important to know because our self-esteem, I think, creates our reality, right? So if I believe that I'm worthy and if I believe that I am deserving, I'm gonna do the thing it takes to get the thing I want. So it's kind of like a cycle. Our self-esteem, which is usually affected by our past experiences, traumas, our upbringing. So if I had parents or experiences that showed me that I was valuable, then I think I'm valuable, right? Whereas if I had experiences or caregivers that taught me that I was not valuable, then I might believe I'm not valuable, right? So it's affected by past experiences and many other things, but we're just going to go with past experiences for this episode. So our self-esteem affects our confidence and how we show up in the world. And then our confidence affects our self-efficacy, whether we believe we're capable of something, whether we believe we're capable of achieving something or passing the test, capable of getting the job. So if I have high self-efficacy, then I'm gonna do the thing. Because I think I'm capable of doing it and I think I'm capable of achieving it. Whereas if it's a self-belief, right? Whereas if I don't have high self-efficacy, then again, I might not try. I might stay home. I might self-sabotage myself. So it's a cycle, right? And it continues. And then my self-efficacy affects my self-esteem. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm a failure. I'm never going to try again. And then our self-esteem affects our confidence, how we show up in the world. So it's this cycle, right? And it keeps going and going and going. And you get to choose which cycle you keep feeding, right? The cycle that's increasing your self-confidence or the cycle that's not. And we're going to get into that. The first thing that is very important when building self-esteem and confidence is knowing yourself. It is so important to know who you are, what you like, what you value, and what you want out of life. It is so important to know this because this is our compass, right? It's driving our behavior, our wants, our needs, our values drive our behavior. And so when we know who we are, when we know what we want, what our needs are, then we get to act in accordance with that, right? Whereas if I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want, I don't know what my needs are, I'm going to be making decisions that are all over the place, not aligned with anything, not really getting me the results that I really want. So it's so important to know who you are. And you get to know who you are by knowing what you like. What do you like to do? I'll tell you, look at your calendar. Your calendar and what you spend the most time doing, that shows you what you like to do, right? What do you value? Look at your bank statements and that'll help you figure out what you value. Your bank statements tell you what you value. Do you value food? Do you value spending time doing activities? Do you value Pilates? Do you value the gym membership? What do you value donating to charities? And so let's go over some values. And you can get more clear on what it is that you value because our values drive our behavior. Do you value accountability, acceptance, adventure? Do you value independence? Do you value inclusivity? Do you value optimism? Is it sustainability for you? Do you value transparency, generosity, grace, growth, esteem, excellence, charity, clarity, kindness, leadership, love, liberty, responsibility, respect? What is important to you? Another thing that can give us more clarity on values is maybe if you become really excited about something or really upset about something. Maybe you are watching the news and you become really infuriated. That might tell you that you really value equality. You might value dignity. You might value respect. So start looking at times when you're either really excited about something or upset about something and see if this is a core value of yours that you have. And your needs. What are your needs? We all have different needs and it's important to understand what you need. Because when we understand what we need, we can fulfill those needs and we can ask other people to also fulfill those needs, right? We can ensure that our needs are being met by knowing what our needs are. It's like when you expect your partner to know that you're upset without telling them, without giving them clarity on what you're upset about or that you're even upset. So it's important to know that you even have needs. That way you can fulfill those needs and then people outside can also fulfill those needs. So what are your needs? Let's go over some needs. Do you need connection? Do you need safety? Do you need communication? Do you need autonomy? Honesty? These kind of sound like values, to be quite honest with you. But I mean, they're very related. Our values and our needs are very related. And so what we really want is just to get clarity on our needs, our values, and our wants and likes. That way, we're acting in accordance with that. Like I said, our values and our needs are there to drive our behavior. And so, let me tell you one thing that decreases our self esteem. It's when we are not acting in accordance with our values and our needs. So this is actually called cognitive dissonance. This is a psychological discomfort one feels when their actions, beliefs, and attitudes contradict each other. I believe that I'm a respectful person, yet when I have a disagreement with someone, I tell them off. And so it's this discomfort, and I like to describe it as guilt and shame that we're feeling in those moments because we're not acting in accordance with who we truly are. We're not in alignment. We say we value, we say we really like this thing or that we're this certain way or that we want this, yet our actions are showing something different. So maybe I really value safety and saving money. However, every time I get paid, I'm spending my money on new clothes and new Lululemon and new food that I really wanted to try. And I'm not putting any money into my savings account. I think of myself as this person who really likes to save and values safety. However, my actions are showing different. And so that's when that cognitive dissonance comes in and it decreases our self-esteem because in order to have confidence and self esteem, you have to trust yourself. And when you are showing up in a way that's not aligned with who you are, we lose that trust in ourselves. We no longer believe that we are people of integrity. And trust builds confidence. That's why I say it's so important to know what you value so that your actions can become aligned with what you say you value. So if you say that you value fidelity and loyalty, yet you have friends who are cheating on their partner, you might feel that cognitive dissonance like, wait, this is going against my belief. Or if you're the one cheating or you're with a partner who's cheating, that is going against your belief. And because we're going against our belief and it's kind of a way of showing ourselves that we don't have integrity. I'm not saying that you don't have integrity if you're doing any of these things, but for anything, right? Like if I say I value respect yet I'm telling people off, it kind of shows that we don't have that integrity. Our mind starts believing that we don't have integrity. And so can you really trust a person who doesn't have integrity? So to build confidence, we must act in accordance with our values. If I say I value autonomy, yet I don't allow my partner to hang out with his friends, I'm going against my values. And you feel it. You feel it. You feel it. You feel the cognitive dissonance. You feel the guilt. You feel the discomfort. And so that discomfort brings our self-esteem down. What we want to do is become so aware of what we value. Is it autonomy? Is it respect? Is it honesty? Is it security? And act in accordance with that. How would a person who values autonomy act? How would a person who's independent act? How would they show up and how would they allow other people around them to show up? How would a person who values respect show up? They would respect themselves, set boundaries, say no, and they would allow others to do the same without having to argue with them, without belittling them. How would a person who says they really value adventure act? Well, they're probably going on trips, they're probably very spontaneous, probably trying new things and putting themselves out there, right? How would you act? If you say that you value this thing, are you acting in accordance with that value? You can search it up. How would a person who values this act? What would they do? What would they be thinking? How would they be feeling? What would their actions be? Who would they be hanging out with? Because that's also so important, right? I mentioned that example of maybe having friends or family members who act in a way that goes against our core beliefs. We feel that cognitive dissonance, we feel that guilt and that discomfort even then. And so it's important. I'm not telling you to cut off everyone. It's just something to be aware about. We can also increase our self-esteem and our confidence and our self-efficacy by keeping promises we make to ourselves. Oftentimes, we say we're going to do something and then we don't do it. And that decreases our self-esteem and our self-belief. I want you to think of a relationship. Say that you have a friend or a partner who continues to make plans with you, yet they never follow through. Are you going to think that that person is reliable? Are you going to think that you can trust that person? If they make plans with you again, are you going to be like, yeah, of course, like, yes, because you have a track record that you follow through with your plans? Or are you going to think, no, guarded, like, I want to protect my heart because I don't think you're a reliable person? That applies with the relationship with yourself too. We have to make sure that if we say we're going to do something, we made plans with ourselves to go to the gym, we made plans with ourselves to rest, we made plans with ourselves to do a self-care routine, we made plans with ourselves to start seeing a therapist, yet I'm not doing that. I'm breaking those promises. And so what I'm showing my brain, what I'm showing myself, is that I'm not a very reliable person, and I am not trustworthy. And you need trust to build confidence. You need to trust yourself to build confidence. You need to trust yourself to have self-efficacy and believe in your capabilities of future achievements. Keeping small promises to ourselves builds our self-esteem. And listen, I'm not telling you to say you're going to go to the gym 7 times a week, 7 times a week. Yeah, 7 times a week, twice a day, because that's self-sabotage, right? What can you actually do? What small promises can you actually keep to yourself? Think of the thing that you've been telling yourself that you're doing, that you're going to do, and you haven't done yet. And I want you to be kind to yourself because you're a human being. And I want you to think about one little step that you can take to get closer to that goal. I'm not saying you do the whole thing now if that's not possible. Maybe it is possible for you. Maybe you can get up and do the thing you've been saying. If not, what's one little small promise you can make to yourself? What's that small promise that you can make to yourself and follow through with? Don't say you're going to do something unless you're actually going to do it, unless you actually think you can do it. And that's why I'm telling you to start small. Make small promises to yourself every single day and keep track of them. Highlight them. I said I was going to do this and I did it. I'm so proud of myself. I said I was going to do this and I did it. I am reliable and I am trustworthy. And this shows me that in the future, I have the capacity to overcome difficult things. It increases my self-efficacy, my belief in myself, and my achievements in the future. So what small promise can you make to yourself on a daily basis to increase your self-esteem? Is it maybe doing your bed? Is it eating an apple? Is it going to the gym twice a week or 3 times if that feels right to you? When we make those promises to ourselves, it shows us that we are capable of doing hard things, right? Like, maybe I didn't want to go to the gym, yet I did it because I made a promise to myself, and that shows me that I'm capable of doing hard things. I'm capable of doing the thing even when I don't want to. I am trustworthy. I am reliable. And so because I know that I'm trustworthy, that means that it's going to affect my self-esteem, right? My value, how I see myself, how I value myself, and my self-worth are going to increase. Therefore, and so this is the external thing that we talked about earlier. Therefore, my confidence is also going to increase. And so that means that I'm going to be applying for the jobs. I'm going to be setting boundaries. I'm going to be saying no. I'm going to be smiling at people because it's just who I am. I'm going to be talking to people and starting conversations. I'm going to be putting myself out there, right? And then that's going to get me my results that I want. And this cycle continues. And like I said, you get to choose which cycle you grow, this one or this one. And that choice is yours. I'm not saying you didn't go through experiences that made you have a low self-esteem. Yes, I definitely 100% get that. But you now have the chance to build the resilience, to build your self-esteem, to change the pattern, to change the narrative. You do not have to stay there. you get to change the narrative. And actually, I want to say something that was shared to me today because I actually presented this in group. Something someone told me that helps them increase their self-esteem is saying not yet. So instead of saying I can't do this, I can't get this job, I've tried so hard and I can't get it, it's I haven't gotten this job yet. Not I'm never going to lose weight, but I haven't lost weight yet. So it plants that seed of hope for the future instead of staying stuck. So in summary, self-esteem affects our confidence, which affects our self-efficacy, which affects our results. And then it's a cycle. And we can increase our self-esteem by acting in accordance with our values, by showing up and behaving in a way that's aligned with our values, and by keeping promises to ourselves. So that's all I have for you all in today's episode. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if this was helpful to you and how you will be using it. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. And also, if you found this episode helpful or you think someone else might benefit from listening to it, I ask you to please share it with them and plant that seed as well for them. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself. I know you care about yourself because you are here listening. You are here trying to improve yourself, and I see you. I see you. I see you. So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.